So this year did not give me what I asked for. Instead, it gave me what I needed to remember. It's strange how life does that. Answers prayers by undoing them. When I first got laid off at the tail end of 2024, I was hopeful. I was even a little excited about what might come next. I had already been planning my exit strategy, so that's why I had the one client ready to go. I had one high-paying client, and I thought all I needed was one more, and I'll be stable, and then two more, I'll be thriving, ready to go. But no new clients came. And then what I thought I was building turned out to be something that really wasn't meant for me. It really wasn't meant for this time that we're in. So everything that I thought I was supposed to build began to fall apart. And the more that I tried to hold it together, to keep it together, the faster it fell apart. So needless to say, I was exhausted. I was frustrated. I was angry and I was confused because I had done everything right. I'd gotten all the degrees. I have all of the experiences and all of the certifications, and I'd done all the work. And yet nothing was working. Nothing would stick. Nothing would stay together. And then I realized that this moment that I was in, I was standing at a threshold moment. It is like a divine turning point where this sacred undoing is happening that's trying to show me something I couldn't see before. So I'm 55 years old, highly educated, an author, award-winning speaker, a Renaissance woman who had spent her life helping others to heal and rise and empower others. And here I am standing at this fork in the road, scared of my future and unsure about myself. So I had a choice. I could stand in the middle of this road waiting for someone to come by and save me. Not likely. Or I could surrender to this moment. Now, surrendering does not mean giving up, waving the white flag. It really meant laying down the fight, that internal fight that I was having with myself about how I needed to show up in the world and what others were expecting of me. The story I had built about who I was supposed to be and what my life was supposed to look like. Of course, I'm in crisis. I needed to apply for all of the jobs. I needed to, get out there and network. And, I was getting all of these different types of advice about my resume and my cover letter and on and on and on. It was overwhelming. But surrendering meant that I had to unclench my hands long enough to receive, to stretch my hands and my heart open so that the universe could put something inside them. That surrendering was really messy. It was hard, y'all. There was a lot of silence. There was a lot of solitude and tears, long walks. It looked like many different things. It was looking like needing to rest when I felt like my mind was screaming, do, perform, 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 right? I had to be doing something. I had to be productive. It looked like resting. It looked like trust, even when I had no evidence to support otherwise. It looked like sharing when I didn't know what I wanted to say or even how much I wanted to reveal to you all. And that's the thing about threshold moments. The only thing it requires of you is to release all of the stuff that you think you know. Because if I hadn't surrendered, if I hadn't taken that first step, I think I would have lost myself completely. And that's what is at stake when you fight threshold moments. You start to vanish beneath who you think you should be, trying to answer the call of the world and society and your family and anyone else around you. So for months, dark night of the soul, yes, I cried. I questioned everything, my purpose, my calling, my worth, my sanity. But I've learned something that when you hit the threshold, and those tears will come, they're a sign. It's like a purification and a baptism in a way that's washing away. It's a releasing, right? That's a physical releasing of what no longer serves you, what no longer fits. Every time I had like a crying session, I could feel the release, that weight just wash off of my body. So you know you're at a threshold when life starts to stripping you down, just stripping it all away. When nothing feels solid anymore, and when you know you can't go back and you have no idea what the next step should be. It's terrifying. It's scary. And especially at a time when the whole world around us is unraveling too. And I have been saying this, that there is an external revolution happening at the same time an internal evolution is happening in all of us. Just like we're watching the collapse of everything around us, bit by bit, day by day, that's how it begins within us. Though that's how the fragments within us start to happen. It's tiny flashes of clarity or whispers that say, trust the next step, trust the next step. So that's what I call the map. I talk about this in my previous video, When Life Rearranges You. The map doesn't show you, always 10 years down the road, right? It's giving you just the next stop and just asking of you, will you follow? This is how you build the trust, to trust yourself. So you start learning to listen. Now, this is difficult. It's difficult because Rome is burning. Everything around us feels very unstable. Our world, our work, the ground beneath us, dear God, is shaking. The earth. How do you stay centered in here while trying to stay safe out there? How do you learn to listen to your nervous system when it's bracing for impact every day? Or when uncertainty feels like a kind of trauma? Me, The listening started small. It looked like noticing when my breath was shallow, choosing to slow down, choosing to take a deep breath to ground myself. It looked like putting my hand on my chest when I felt that wave of panic to ground me again. It looked like taking long walks without my headphones. I don't need to hear or listen to anyone other than the birds around me and my own thoughts. I started to pay attention to the signals in my own body that my body was sending, right? And not overriding it and starting to ask questions like, okay, what are you trying to tell me? And the big question daily, what is my higher self? What does my higher self want me to know? And sometimes it's something as simple as rest, move. And a lot of times it's silence. But over time, every small act of listening became like a devotional practice. They became a map. So after a few months, I would say about 3 months, 3 long months, maybe 4, I started to remember, connecting parts of myself that I had forgotten. So when I started honoring myself, my natural rhythm, my raw natural abilities, everything around me began to shift. Conversations changed. I could see the resources and the opportunities show up. My decisions and my choices, they weren't coming from a place of survival or performance or even fear, but from an inner trust that I had. Remember in the beginning when I told you that I had to surrender to allow myself to be able to release, right? This is when life starts to put a mirror up to you, right? And that's what crossing the threshold begins to do. It reorganizes your internal world so your external world can finally meet you where you are. It can help you remember yourself. And that's what this great remembering is really about. Remembering those parts of me that I've never known or have forgotten. This is where many of us are on this journey right now. And part of this shift I owe to the book that I've been reading, Women Who Run with the Wolves by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. This is part of the mirror and the map process. It helped me to shine a light on parts of myself that were buried. It reminds us that the wisdom that we seek is within our bodies. That when we allow ourselves to be stripped down to our wildness, we discover coherence and instinct and an embodied power that will transform how we lead and how we live. And so at that bridge, after taking the road less traveled, I activated the wild woman leader within me. I live in my wildness. And it shifted my lens of leadership from corporate to feminine. Because we are at this moment in history that is asking us to remember who we are so that we can restore balance into the earth. That's the call for me. That was the rearranging, or part of it, the great remembering, a global awakening of the feminine principles within humanity. And that's what this moment, this threshold moment, is asking of all of us to stop fighting the unraveling, right? To start listening to what life is trying to reveal through it. And that's why we're going to explore this together in the threshold activation, embodied remembrance. This is going to be a 90-minute journey of remembrance, part reflection, part practice, part reclamation. And it is designed for the woman at the threshold. So during our time together, I'm going to take you through guided activations, reflections, and a ritual presence that is really going to awaken your senses and start staring beneath the surface. What's really under there? So this is the doorway, right? Through the threshold into that portal where your wild woman essence lives. Is that space of moving from knowing to being, from awakening to remembering to embodying. This process is woven in my remembering circles, where we hold a mirror up to ourselves to see what's truly there and release what no longer is needed. And then we tap into our internal GPS, which is the map, and we learn how to trust it. So you're going to leave this process with daily prompts that will take you through both parts of that process, and practices to help you ground in that trust and return to yourself again and again. This is where the magic and the remembering begins. So the activation is a daily devotional to yourself, a commitment to live fully, naturally, and freely in your own wild, untamed habitat as the woman you already are. I'm Marjorie, and this is the work of remembering who we were before the world told us who to be.